Action!
Hi, I'm Nick.
Hi, I'm Brett.
How you doing? So we're having lunch. It's Pizza Wednesday. Or it's pizza whatever day it is. And our favorite pizza today is Pizza Hut. Update 5 is out.
Yep.
And I think it updates some things about the human player.
Yep.
Penalty updates. So it sounds like Update 5 might be pretty important.
So the big thing in Team Update 5, to me anyways, is C1, which is the egregious and exceptional violations rule. They've added comment E, which basically says that if it appears to referees that a team is deliberately hiding power cells behind the driver's station wall.
So starving.
Yeah, basically it's starving the field. It will now be a potential for a yellow or red card. So be very careful, teams, about making sure that you're putting the power cells back on the field in a quick, safe, and efficient manner. They also increased it for the starvation in H10 from a foul to, if it's repeated, it becomes a tech foul.
Yep.
So you could be racking up tech fouls now on top of getting a card for your team, and if you do it in playoffs, your alliance.
Well, on the CD thread, somebody pointed out a Q&A that said you also can't, hold power cells over the opening waiting for a robot. You've got to take them off the rack and put them in directly.
Good.
Is there that is a place that is not on the rack or in transit to one of the two. You're just sitting there holding it.
I've been helping out with receiving today and yesterday because once again we have some sick employees. So reminder: be healthy, wash your hands.
Pull that
But
sanitizer.
one thing I noticed was I received in a lot of hubs. Check out our hubs. That turned a lot of things on. So if you were waiting on certain things that were dependent on hubs,
Tech subs for days. A lot now.
we've got a lot of them. What have you seen that's been prototyping out in the market, out in the field?
There's a lot of different intakes. Grasshoppers have an interesting one that was posted in their build blog. It's a top and bottom intake using the R2-inch green compliant wheels, but the bottom roller, which is powered, is kind of free swinging, so it can't swing out past a certain point, but it can swing back towards the deployment.
Key is go see the link of
Yeah.
Grasshopper's
I'll have to go check it out.
intake. Yeah, sounds interesting. They usually do a very good job of showing everybody what they're doing, so good job, Team 95. I think the biggest thing we're struggling with is different types of ball handling mechanisms inside the robot, because you can't really depend on gravity. As we mentioned before, they stick. So they're going to contact each other and they're going to stick together and they don't want to get apart. So
The pure choice of deciding, A, if you are serializing the game pieces, it's more of where are you doing that? Are you doing it on the ground? Are you doing it in your intake somewhere? Or are you doing it further inside the robot? Really will dictate what your robot does. And our team has the opinion that serializing them on the ground, while it's an easy way to get them serialized, is slow compared to touch it, own it, get it up in the robot, and serialize it some other way.
Yep.
Because we're trying to get that 5 balls in a second shooting target and trying to optimize as much out as we can. So we wrote off the serialize on the ground with vectored intake wheels or something. They may make an appearance later in the robot to do it midway through the robot for that serialization part, but getting them off the ground fast is kind of a priority for our teams.
At this point in our collective first community, we know how to shoot a ball pretty well.
Yeah.
So.
One of the things that we've run into with our shooter is that we were doing our testing and found a wheel that we liked, but it was an old, worn-in wheel. Not super worn in, but it was a little bit dirty. We cleaned it off at the end of the meeting and ran a few more balls through, and now that we had this nice, clean wheel with a nice tread, balls were not...
Was it way overshooting or undershooting?
It was
What
overshooting.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It was overshooting.
track some more grip,
Yeah.
more.
What we've done is we've made sure to buy a couple of sets of new wheels. So now what we'll do is we'll put the actual new good wheels on a prototype shooter and get it tuned back in.
To kind of go back real quick about the serializing stuff, have you looked in the, behind the bumpers? Because there might be some good data in those books that were already published. Because the first one, I believe, came out about 2006 robots.
2006.
Yep.
And so that's probably a great resource for teams to be able to look back into.
If you can find a copy of that, or a veteran team around you has a copy of that, it's worth a read.
Dealing
Thanks,
with multiples.
Vince and Stephanie.
Yes.
So I want to get back to what Ruth was saying. Ruth was saying teams need to buy new wheels. Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying you need.
Send more money. We'll send more stuff.
Yes, for a certain period of prototyping, it's good to grab stuff off your shelf in your shop if you have older things. But there reaches a point where you need to get the actual thing that you're going to be using if what you're prototyping with isn't the brand new part.
But at the same point, though, the point that you made in the beginning of this is you need to be able to characterize your two extremes because you need to know when you need to replace those wheels if that's what you're planning on doing.
Right.
Because otherwise, you could end up undershooting later on, or you get something that's worn in because you have 1,000 of them already because it's your high grips from your KOP chassis for however many years.
The same thing with the game pieces too. Like we found that clean, new, out of the bag game pieces stick really well to a PVC pipe.
Yep.
So we're thinking of using that as some part of our intake. But I want to see what happens when you punch a bunch of holes in them, rub it on the ground, get them all dusty.
Go roll.
An event's worth of compression doing to the balls.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I know that was a big issue in 2012. Make sure that your robot can handle the extremes of what the game pieces can be at.
We've gone through and given each of our game pieces that we're testing with a serial number.
Yep.
As we're testing the shooting, we've got this nice grid paper. We can mark where it went in relation to the goal, whether it's super high, super low, anywhere. So that way we can kind of track and end up getting a much better average so that hopefully we're more accurate down the line.
Thank you for eating with us. We will see you next time. Be safe. Have fun.
Bye.
Pro tip, when you're buying cantaloupe, don't squeeze it, knock on it, and listen to how hollow it sounds.
Just like a watermelon.
The more hollow it sounds, the
tap.
better it is.
Is that factual?
Yeah.
Yeah.